And so the struggle continues for 6 athletes struggling to make the finish here in Zell. Welcome to day 10 of the Red Bull X-Alps. And while so many athletes here are enjoying comfortable beds, warm food and nice drinks, for many it's still a hard toil, a hard grind out there. Among them Logan Walters, James Elliott, Elega and 3 other athletes. And our very own Gavin McClurg has also been out there waiting patiently. Gavin, are you there?
I am. Good evening, sir.
How's your day been, Gavin?
Oh, it was excellent. I was up at Tracymia the last couple nights, and it's one of the most spectacular arenas in the world, and the Dolomites, just unbelievable. So I was certainly in a very happy place, but it was nice to have some athletes come through today. It got pretty exciting up there.
So tell us first about Logan Walters.
Yeah, Logan's, I would actually say he's kind of one of my mentees. He's only been flying about 5 years. He lives out in Santa Barbara. He's a very accomplished surfer and mountaineer, and he flies helicopters, and he got into paragliding. Actually, the first time he got into paragliding was way before 5 years ago, and he kind of crashed, and he figured, okay, well, I need to wait and learn this correctly. And then he got into it 5 years ago, and he's been chasing it about as hard as anybody. And he did some hike and fly races the last couple seasons. He did the X-Pier this year and the Dolomiti Superfly. He did the Eiger last year with his eyes on the big one, on the prize, the Red Bull X-Alps. And so I've been kind of helping him along through the last couple years in terms of preparation for that. My trainer and supporter for all 4 of my campaigns, Ben Abruzzo, has been training him, as well as James Elliott, so all his physical prep. And he's quite a serious guy. He's young, but he's quite serious about all this. And what's been really nice seeing him today, he's really enjoying it. He's having a good time. He's being really playful. I thought he'd be kind of down that he's kind of in the back, after coming out guns running, and he was way out in front in the beginning and with the lead, but he's having a good time.
And that's the most important thing in this race, isn't it, really?
It really is. It's you're going to take your whacks, you're going to make your mistakes, and you're not always going to be out in the lead, of course. That's hard to do in this race, considering the caliber. But you have an incredible bond. I always say it's like going to war, even though I haven't done that. But you have this relationship and this community with your support team that is really extraordinary and really special. And when it ends in a couple days or tomorrow, potentially for them, that's its own unique challenge. When these 10 days, Logan and all the rest, they're being taken care of in a lot of ways by their support team. I mean, they're grinding it out, but without their support team, it's impossible. And it's a very special relationship. We've seen this over and over again on Instagram posts by the athletes, just how much they're thankful for their team, and they couldn't do it without their team. And it reminds me, just being out here and filming them all, how special that bond is. And suddenly, in a couple days, nobody's going to make them food anymore. Nobody's going to be taking them to the bathroom. Nobody's going to be telling them where to go. Nobody's going to tell them what the route is. And, even Kriegel, I remember he talked about in 2009 and 2011 going to a pretty dark place after these events. It's so full on. It's such an amazing adventure. And when it ends, it's like falling off a cliff.
Yeah, well, we're going to hear more of that in a second, actually, because James Elliott's supporter just turned up in camp. So after this, I'm going to wander over. But first, let's go back to Logan a second, because we caught up with him earlier, and this is what he had to say.
Is to launch here, and we might be able to soar up actually in this south flow, and then we'll go over the back towards the Tracymia. And hopefully we're to the Via Ferrata by noon or so. There's a possibility of thunderstorms later, so I'd rather not do a Via Ferrata than a thunderstorm. And yeah, we'll just keep moving. The ultimate goal today would be to make it to Austria. I don't know if we can make goal or not, but I think we can make it to Austria.
So to discuss James Elliott, I've wandered over to the van of his supporter, Trevor Kessler, who's just over here. Let's go and say hello and see what he has to say. Trevor.
Hey, Tarquin.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
Awesome.
So how's your man holding up?
James is doing incredibly well. He's today we did the Via Ferrata today, and he looks incredibly strong. He looks really fit. And just like all the other days, he's had a smile on his face the whole time. He's having a blast. And I think that's really propelled him through this whole race. It's been a long journey for him being across the pond, and I think that his positivity, as well as teamwork, it's been monumental in this race for us. Dan, Norm, Jonathan, Guillaume, they've all been instrumental in his success, and I don't think that he'd be where he is today without those guys. I think their help has been extremely helpful. But yeah, I think for myself and all the Canadian fans back home, his family, his friends, we're really excited to see him show up and land on that raft tomorrow. And I think that potentially being the first Canadian to ever finish this race has really given him a kick in the butt. I know he's really excited, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is there a bit of friendly rivalry between Team USA and Team Canada?
Yeah, so today we almost topped out at the same time. Logan was coming down, and we were just about to top out. And, they gave each other a big hug and high five, and, they were super proud to be there together. And Logan launched maybe about 5 or 10 minutes before James, but you could tell that even though they're the Battle of North America, they're still really excited for one another. And I don't think that they'd be upset if they finished the race together at all.
Gavin was just talking about, how important the teamwork is and the efforts that you guys go. It really is a team race. Can you give an indication of the kind of jobs that you're doing?
Yeah, like we have a pretty big team here, the driving, the cooking, Jonathan has been, what he's done on the computer, constantly working on the navigation and logistics and, launches and takeoffs and all that thing. It's so hard to do, especially when you've never been here. And of course, when you have these big RVs and driving around on these narrow roads and cooking constantly and hiking with the athletes the entire time, it takes a lot out of you. And I know that, Team Canada their cohesiveness has been a big reason why James is out where he's at right now. And I think that without those guys, he wouldn't be where he is.
And pretty tiring for you guys as well, I imagine.
Yeah, we got here today and we're both pretty tuckered, but, probably not nearly as tuckered as the rest of the guys. They've been working around the clock nonstop, day and night. But I know that they're all extremely proud, and I know they're extremely excited for us. And so I think that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. We're all here together and we're all enjoying this trip.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Trevor. Okay, we'll leave it there with you, Trevor. Yeah, Gavin, you actually were goofing around with both of them earlier, weren't you? What was going on there? You were thermaling on the ground?
Wasn't that great? Yeah, I got up to launch, and I was actually, I didn't think I'd see them up there because they were quite a ways ahead of Ellie and I. And so I was just going to be waiting for Ellie and having a nice second flight with her today. I had a beautiful flight with her off the Draisinen down to Sexton, and that was really special. But so I got up there, and they were just horsing around and having fun. The conditions weren't right. They didn't really understand what was going on, and they didn't want to rush it. They really wanted to make some distance with the final flight, which didn't unfortunately really end up panning out. But they decided that they would have some friendly on their feet coring racing, so thermal coring racing, and they were running around kind of chasing one another, and I was giving some commentary to to Team Canada and Team USA trying to race.
The light-hearted moments. I guess a race like this, even a race like this, needs those moments.
Yeah, that's what I saw today from all the teams was very much, they're all really enjoying themselves. They're relaxed. They know they're going to get in. They're really proud of their effort. And, at this point, it's just, hey, be safe, have fun. Why would you do this if you're not having fun?
The one athlete all eyes are on, of course, is Elega. Everyone's willing her to become first female to make goal. You spent much of today, hiking and flying with her. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was up at the Col underneath Tresime. I was actually with Jürgen, our safety director, he's a good friend of mine, so we were having a chat. And we didn't have very good service, but at some point the service kind of updated, and James was on foot right below us, and Logan was inbound in the sky and landed just below us. And then just a few minutes later, I got a message from a fan up in the UK that said, "Hey, are you going to go live with Ellie? She's coming in hot." And she was right behind Logan, and did a nice top landing up there. And then, like I said, she was just very relaxed, very calm. She wasn't in a hurry. She got together with her team, and we went through the Via Ferrata together, and she was just laughing and making jokes, and they're really enjoying themselves. It was just nice to see that in day 10. They're not exhausted. She said she had one tiny little blister, which I was quite jealous of. Usually by day 10, my feet are a disaster. So it was just pure fun with her today. Going through the Via Ferrata was awesome and beautiful. And then we got to launch off the Col just by the Draisinen hut together, and flew down to Sexton together. And she did some gorgeous big proper wingovers, and then again very calm at the LZ. She wasn't racing. She signed the board. She had a bunch of friends there, a little baby and some family, because she's getting close to Austria at this point. And then she hiked up very fast back up to the launch, where Logan and James had been hanging out for about an hour, and so they're all back together again. So they had put some distance on her at one point today, and she had been leading them since Nisan, and so now they're all back together. They're having a fun race. I don't get the feeling that they're really racing at this point. They're having a lot of fun, and they're psyched to get in. And I'm sure there's still some competitive spirit between all three, but yeah, Ellie and her team are having a blast.
Now, at the other extreme, Rich Binstead from Australia is just there ploughing a lonely furrow near Mont Blanc. I mean, what must that must be like? Because he hasn't got that camaraderie. Apart from him and his support team, he's just there by himself. It must feel like, he's not even in the race anymore. He's just doing his own kind of adventure. Can you give a sense of what might be going through his mind?
What might be going through and what probably is are very different, only because I don't know Rich that well, but I did sit down and talk with him in the athlete camp the day before the race, so after the prologue. And again, his biggest concern was being eliminated early, and that hasn't happened. I mean, he wasn't trying. He was very humble, but he was coming across that, hey, I know I'm not going to be super competitive in this race. I just want to be safe. I want to have fun. I want this to be the greatest journey of my life, the biggest adventure of anything I've ever done. But he's even put up some posts that he's just a bloke from Oz who's got some flying skills, and he's having a blast. So my guess is he's having a blast out there. And the pressure's off at this point. He knows he's going to get eliminated tomorrow, and there's no way he can catch Jordy. And he put up this amazing video of flying around Mont Blanc. So I bet his mind is pretty blown, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back for one of these. Yeah, like you said, he's just in Oz having a good time in Europe. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I took a screenshot of it today just because I don't want to lose it. It was really powerful. I'm sorry? Okay. Yeah, so I mean, he was the rookie of the race by far, and I kept commenting on him throughout the race because I was so impressed with his performance and his attitude. I mean, he was is still now one of the best acro pilots in the world, and he put up this post that was really moving. He kind of reached the pinnacle, and he kind of reached a place where now what do I do? And he was pretty, it sounded like pretty in kind of a dark place about what the future was going to be, and he wanted a new challenge and decided it was going to be something like the X-Alps, and became a really competent XC pilot. And I've seen him doing some amazing things in the last couple of years. And then in January, doing a double backflip. He's also a really good skier. He broke his back, and but just kept his eyes, kept his head down, and his video of that accident and the training and coming back from that and all the physical fitness stuff that he had to do, and going in and out of the hospital. And I mean, it was a pretty traumatic event, obviously. And then here he is in the X-Alps, and he gets sixth overall, and was the #1 rookie. So, phenomenal job. But this post was, it was really moving. And he said he's coming back in 25, but I know what he's experiencing, because we all go through this. It's just suddenly it's over, and it leaves a lot of time for reflection. There's a lot that goes on. I mean, when Powell got in, he just said, I don't have the words for this. I don't know how to wrap this up. I mean, you could write a book. Okay, well, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the morning. Have a good evening. Thank you.